to Talking with Springfield Township. I have here in the studio Lieutenant Jason Eckhoff from the Springfield Township Fire Department. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And it's cold out, so we want to talk about being warm. That's basically all we have to talk about right now is being cold and how to stop being cold, right? And there's some great ways to stop being cold, and then you at the fire department see some ways that people try to stop being cold that are not good ideas. So we want to make sure that we help you differentiate those two categories and make good choices. So let's talk about, with the storms, we worry about power outages and how do we keep the house warm, and you don't even need a power outage to be cold now because it's going down to 3 degrees.
Yeah, it's just cold.
If you just don't have a lot of insulation, your house is cold.
It will be, yes.
So we know there's I'll just mention some safe things, right? You can wear more layers even in the house. You can put those slippers on that your grandmother bought you for Christmas and you never would use, right?
Yep, and nobody's going to see you in public, so put on as many goofy slippers as you like.
Oh, yes, the goofiest of all slippers.
Yes.
And then post them on your Facebook page because we want to see them, actually. So get those slippers out. You can wear a hat in your house. No one will judge because they won't see
Absolutely.
you, right? And you can wear it when you go to bed if your house is that cold, right? Those are safe things. You can tape around your windows and keep the heat loss from going out your windows and do things like that. Those are all really good ideas.
Yes.
There's lots of things like that that really involve layering you.
Yes.
And then insulating, heavy curtains over your windows, things like that. Those are safe things to do.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things you see people do that don't fall into that category?
Well, a lot of times this year we run into a lot of space heater issues. A lot of people use space heaters for auxiliary heat, especially in like smaller specific rooms that they just hang out in most of the day. Or if they have a home office, they tend to have some space heaters in their home office. Space heaters are great. They do a great job. There's some good ones out there and some not so good ones out there. The better ones you're going to pay a couple more dollars for, but they have safety features. For instance, if it gets kicked or someone trips over it, it's got a pressure plate to where if it tips over, it'll cut the power to the space heater. Those would be kinds of things we would recommend. The problem we see a lot with space heaters is when they are near couches, beds, things like that, where throw blankets or bedding can kind of hang out and touch the space heater, and the heat will then cause fires to the blankets that spread.
Sure, and we do have all the blankets in our house all piled around us.
Every one of us does, I promise.
Yeah. Which, unless we have, a child or a dog that took all of the blankets, then we are trying to, it would be so easy for that fabric to just wind up on top of that heater.
So space heaters are a good way, to heat specific rooms while you're in the room. You don't want to kind of leave those unattended. Something else we see a lot too that's not a safe practice at all is people will tend to open the door to their oven and crank the oven up and use the heat from the oven to kind of heat the house, which we highly do not recommend.
I think that in the tipping feature, the tip off switch on space heaters, it makes me remember that a lot of times we're heating spaces that have pets in them, or that have kids in them, that people who might not be space aware, just clumsy adults in them.
Yes.
I'll sign up for that one. And we will not be aware that we have draped something over that or tripped over that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that also applies for an open on oven, that is not something that you want if people could walk by it and catch their hand in it or trip in. Yeah, that's just...
And especially with having young kids in the house, it's just a very, very dangerous procedure to try to heat your house. Kids tend to be curious and they may put things in there. They may throw a stuffed animal in there, something like that, which is not going to fare well in a 500-degree oven. So.
No, that's not going to do well.
No.
That would be very bad for your stuffed animal. Don't do that. And when it comes to the space heaters, we talk about how they're a danger if they tip over and don't turn off, if they're near fabrics.
Mm-hmm.
But what about where we plug them in?
So that's also equally as important. Space heaters are designed to plug into an outlet in the wall directly. If you have those surge protector strips, or if you have those cheap little Ollie's Bargain Outlet extension cords, where it's a little 2-prong cord, those aren't really designed to run a space heater safely. The space heater pulls too many amps, heats up those plugs, and then coincidentally you end up getting a fire.
I think that would be an easy thing to miss when
Very.
you're looking at safe ways to use your heaters, you'd be thinking, oh, well, it's the heat source. As long as I keep this heat source away from anything that could catch fire, and it would be easy to forget that the thing getting hot could actually be the plug.
Exactly, and that's a lot of times where, we find them plugged into extension cords and things like
Okay.
that with blankets on the extension cords, or,
Oh, no.
the extension cord passes under a couch or something like that. The cord's heating up over time, and over enough time, the cord starts to derate, and eventually you'll get a fire out of it.
This is the first time some of us have pulled out our space heaters in a while, because we've had some mild winters. Do you find that you see more of the problems with that space heater that my dad gave me that was in the basement that might be older? Are the newer space heaters designed a little bit differently so that they're safer?
They are, yeah. Grandfather's old space heater is probably, chugging along like a freight train. It probably still works just as good today. But it's not going to have those safety features like our newer space heaters are today, unfortunately. They're all going to do the job. They're all going to heat a space. But when we're looking at using that type of equipment to supplement heat, we want to look for as many safety features as we can, especially with pets and young kids running around the home.
So if you find one of those, if you absolutely have to use it, to make sure that you're in the room with it, make sure that you're watching not just where it is, but what it's plugged into.
Yes.
And then as soon as you can, maybe phase that out.
Yes.
And stop using that one and get the next one.
Yes.
What about, and I think about this when it comes to the oven. You said, let's not leave our oven open to heat the room. Do you find in the winter with people trying different kinds of heat that having a carbon monoxide detector is a really important thing?
Absolutely. It's probably the second most important thing to a smoke detector in your house that you can have. People have lots of natural gas fired appliances or propane fired appliances, fireplaces, water heaters, furnaces, cooktops, even clothes dryers can be gas fired appliances. All those present a hazard if they're malfunctioning and can put off carbon monoxide, which is a extremely, extremely deadly gas.
When we do our yearly check the batteries in our smoke detectors, and we know we want the smoke detectors to work year round, but those carbon monoxide detectors, while we're all closed in the winter and turning more things on and trying to heat different ways, make sure that those are...
They're extremely important.
that you have them and that they're working and that they're turned on and in place.
And kind of like a smoke detector, we recommend one for each room. Carbon monoxide detectors, we kind of recommend for one in each level of the house, including your basement.
What are some of the specific calls you've seen, either this winter or other winters, that obviously don't tell us specifics about the people, we won't ask you that, but some of the warnings that you could share based on some of the calls you get at the station?
We see this time of year, we see a lot of carbon monoxide alarm activations, as do all the departments throughout Hamilton County. People are turning their heat on, they're burning fireplaces, things like that in their homes to keep warm. So we get a very big influx of carbon monoxide calls this time of year. Knock on wood, generally they are just a detector that's malfunctioning or needs batteries changed because we just forgot about it. We do see an uptick in fires this time of year as well. Just because of people are inside trying to keep warm. Sometimes we have careless activities that lead to fires that you normally wouldn't have in the spring and summer, things like that. So we definitely see an uptick in both of those calls throughout this time of year.
Do you see people trying to do indoors the kind of fires they should be doing outdoors?
Unfortunately, we have seen people, light small fires within a garage and keep the door open to try to get the heat from the little fire pit in the garage. We would highly recommend not doing that. Your home is not designed for fires to just be burning in a fire pit. We see all kinds of stuff. People will go to extremes to stay warm. So.
Okay, so don't do that.
Yes, that's a no.
That's a no. Just in case you heard that part and you only sort of just now tuned in, that is not a suggestion. That's a don't.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That it's not designed to be controlled in that amount of space.
Correct. And it's going to put off smoke, things like that. It's just not designed to heat your home that way. The other thing we've seen is people use like kerosene heaters within the walls of their homes. Again, those are not designed to heat a residence. Those are designed to be used in commercial spaces, things like that. They're not designed to sit in the middle of your living room so everyone can stay warm.
The things that you have in your camping kit but you are not in a sealed, closed place. You
Right.
can get more oxygen that will cycle through.
Exactly.
Don't take your camping gear into the den.
Not recommended.
Okay, all right. I think that you think, oh, I'm camping in my living room. I'm so clever. I have my camping stuff. But
Right.
okay, don't take your camping gear. Get your sleeping bag. That'll be nice and warm.
Yes.
But not anything that catches fire.
Yes.
That seems like a good rule of thumb.
It's a very good rule of thumb.
Put fires inside the house.
Yes.
That will simplify the whole program. So we're giving people some information here, some good ideas, some please don't ideas. When people look for ideas, when they lose power, when their house isn't getting warm or whatever it is, we go to the internet now, right?
You can find everything on Google.
Find everything on Google. But of course, the corollary is everything you find on Google is not a good idea.
Yes, it's not all vetted information.
So I have a couple. TikTok is a plethora of extremely clever ways that people are suggesting we can stay warm inside our house. I want to look at a couple of them because you are the professional.
I would love to look at some
You
TikTok
have the
videos.
credentials, and that's key. I think we want to know, we want to check our sources, where we're getting our information from. So let's look at one now, and I want you to just respond to this and give us some tips on what's happening and what shouldn't be happening. And I'm going to lean forward here, and we can look at it right up here on this
All right.
screen.
This is how to make an emergency heater. You can use muffin pans, a couple of these foil candles, light it up, put a small terracotta pot over it, and cover the hole. If you have a bigger size terracotta pot, you could do 2 layers. Put the bigger one over the smaller terracotta pot, cover the hole. Now you got a better radiant heater.
All right, so that's option number one.
I'll give it to them for ingenuity.
I mean, I think that they probably got good grades on their science experiments.
Yes, these are your A+ science students right
Okay,
here. Yeah.
all right, so that's good. So theory, we have some theory, we have radiant heat.
Yes.
We also have him using an alarming little heating device inside the house. That worried me a little when he took that out.
So yeah, he's using the little tea light candles. However, I will say he's got a bit of metal muffin pan.
Okay.
It's terracotta. Terracotta's not going to burn. The muffin pan's not going to burn. You know, if you want to do that on your stovetop, that would be a safer option
Okay.
to do. It's just like burning a candle in your home, essentially.
Okay. So same warnings that you would do with an open candle.
Yes.
If you have kids, if that terracotta is going to get warm, you don't want
Yes.
anybody's fingers near that terracotta.
Correct.
I don't know how that terracotta was fired. If there's water and that moisture in that could crack. So
Yes.
that wasn't designed
Something
for that
like this
purpose.
probably isn't going to produce a whole lot of heat for you anyway. So
I think that was my big takeaway is how warm. We're not going to experiment in the studio because I don't want to set anything off. But how warm would 2 layers of terracotta get with 2 tea lights under them?
probably not as warm as people would think it does.
Okay, all right. So if you are going to test that yourself, we can say that's great. Just make sure you are making good choices and doing it away from everything that could touch it or
Yes, that'd be a
things
fair,
like that.
fair
Okay.
assessment.
All right. So that one's not too alarming. That's a good start. Okay, let's look at
I have a feeling we're going to get more alarming
another
as we go.
one. We would never do that. I don't know why you think we would do that to you. Okay, let me hit another one. Let's see.
Do you want to warm every room in your house? Well, get a biscuit tin, hang it on a wall nail, and voila, you have a wall heater. Add a tea candle to the wall heater, like so, and light it. Now, the only thing with this method is you won't be able to stay in the room where this wall heater is. It's too hot. Such as the heat that comes from this wall heater, it seeps through the walls into other rooms. So you'll have to go into another room because it simply would be too hot here. So if you want to create the ultimate wall heater, get a biscuit tin, put a tea candle on it, and light it up, please.
What do we think about this concept?
Well, I don't have a lot of biscuit tins sitting around my house, but I
Yeah,
would
the
say
accent is great, isn't
I
it?
would say probably a no on this one for me. You know, anytime you're going to hang something on a wall and put flame to it, even though it's a tea light candle, probably not putting off a whole lot of heat. I would say probably a no on this one.
I had thoughts.
Even if you have a biscuit tin.
Even if it's a proper biscuit tin.
Correct.
From Sainsbury's.
Yes.
I don't know where it would be from. I just picked that out of nowhere. I will, full disclosure, say I looked at his account and it says it's a parody account. So it's possible that this gentleman actually knows it's not likely to heat his entire house.
That tracks.
But it still alarms me a little bit because even though that's a tiny open flame, it would get knocked off of that so easily.
Yeah.
And wind up on your, if that hits your rug, that is
It's gonna spread a fire eventually. Yeah.
not a great look.
Yeah. So I'd say that's a no for me on that one.
So the key is, if you get a biscuit tin, just eat the biscuits.
Yes, eat the biscuits, keep the candle out of it.
Okay, good tips. All right. See, our tips are international.
Yes.
Here on Waycross Community
We
Media,
travel
we are
across
local
both oceans.
access, but
Yep.
we know no boundaries with our ideas. Okay, here is one more.
Take a roll of toilet paper like this. Just take out the center cardboard piece. Kind of push it together. Put it down inside the can. Okay, just like that. And all you do is take the isopropyl alcohol, I think 70% is the best overall, and fill it almost to the top in the can. Took about half of one of these big bottles.
The backbeat's good, I guess.
Points for music.
Then you just light it up. It'll burn for a really long time.
I bet.
Yeah, and that's
Well, let's pause here because have we forgotten how precious this resource was during COVID? And we're lighting it on fire now.
right.
Yes.
That was a thought I had.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's scandalous to burn the toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, people stood in line for this stuff for hours, and we're burning it. This is a hard no for me. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Any particular reasons that you don't like this option?
There's a few. We'll go over. I'll hit the highlights.
Okay.
Obviously, they're talking about an open flame in your house. Maybe in the wilderness, if you have to survive, nailed it. Great. On your coffee table here, not such a good idea. So obviously, we're burning a combustible. It's going to put off smoke. It's not designed for you to sit there and stay warm and breathe all that. Not to mention we're putting isopropyl alcohol on top of it, which burns very well. I'll give him that. Again, survival, this guy's got it. Heating for the wintertime on your coffee table, probably not listen to this guy.
I mean, I think the obvious thing is we see this wild, uncontrolled, high flame.
Yes.
Even in the video, like he's not even trying to make it look like
Nope.
a nice, tidy flame.
Nope.
And I just can't think that has good thoughts for being in the house. It does seem absolutely just like heretical to burn rolls of toilet paper too.
Yes.
If you're doing survival in the wilderness, you probably also want toilet paper.
Right.
I don't know. You don't want to grab the wrong leaves. You want to save the toilet paper.
I don't know why that was
I
my
don't
first thought about we
know.
stood in
I
line
think
for hours for this precious
that's
resource
valid.
and now we burn
That's
it.
probably the first alarming thing about this before we even get to flames is why are you burning the toilet paper?
Yep.
But yeah, that's very bad idea. If you're watching this and you're unclear on
Hard
the
no.
verdict, that the verdict on that was heck no. Please don't, just no. Okay, so this is very helpful. And I think the main takeaway here is people making these videos are not fire professionals.
No, they are not.
They are not rescuers. They are not the ones that will get the call when you try that particular option, which we hope you don't. That's not what you're supposed to do when you see that we have this on their screen here. And what they're making videos for is to get the most clicks.
Yes. It's all about likes.
They don't care if this even is safe.
Nope.
They don't care if it works and will keep you warm like the other ones that might throw off a teeny tiny bit of heat. And worse, though, that they don't care if it will actually set your house on fire.
Right.
And like you said, looking at the open flame, you don't even really think about the fact that the smoke inhalation itself will also be a danger.
Yeah, I mean, you're burning a combustible. You wouldn't,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like sitting your face over a campfire. You just wouldn't
don't
do it.
That. Don't do that, no. And that's, at least at the campfire, you're outside.
Yes.
And there's more air around you. So be aware of the sources that you get your information. If you go to the great world of Google to get some new clever ideas, you need to check the source of those ideas.
Very much so.
Is there a particular resource that you would recommend if people just want fire safety information? Where should they go besides Mr. Google?
So the best resource to try to look at is you can go to our website, which is www.springfieldtwp.org. You can click on our fire tab and get some fire safety tips there. That will also have a link to the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, which has lots of information on winter heating, fires in general, safety tips and things like that. And that website is www.nfpa.org.
Okay, I like it when they're easy like that.
Very easy.
nfpa.org. I like that.
Yes.
Springfield Township.org. We'll have all these so that you can go there, check them out, and make sure you vet where your information is coming from, and it's from someone who is an expert in the field and not someone that just sort of wants a lot of clicks.
Just because they wear a fire helmet in the video doesn't mean anything.
I thought the fire helmet in the video made
They're
it
out there.
legitimate.
They're out there.
I thought like if you just wore an outfit that made you.
Not quite.
You can't do. I'm not a firefighter, but I play one on TikTok.
Not quite. But I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't work like that.
It does. Yeah, exactly. All right. In that case, you better check your sources of information. I want to thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thanks for having me.
For talking about these things. We'll have to have you back so we can continue to keep the residents informed on how they can stay safe and what you guys are doing to keep them safe.
Absolutely.
Which is also important. And I want to thank you for watching, because that means you want to stay up to date on what's happening in Springfield Township, and you want to stay safe while you keep your family warm this winter. Thanks for joining us.